This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the certainly not canceled Troll Patrol live. It is a freaking Wednesday. Breed Creed, I am glad you brought up the topic of being in Facebook jail, being canceled, because it's going to be a theme running through tonight's show. We have a lot of crybaby conservatives whining about how they're being canceled, even though studies show they're not. We're going to look at that study later on in the show. Plus, the Epstein story we didn't get to last night because of all the callers. New pictures surface of Epstein with an underage girl. Ghislaine Maxwell asking for special treatment in jail. Has already received the coronavirus vaccine. A man has been arrested for stealing his own car. That's how shitty the cops are. I think that's actually a sad story. I don't think we're going to laugh at that one. Steven Crowder says he's running for office. Plus, we're going to catch you up on all the political news, the internal strife going on with the Republicans. Marjorie Taylor Greene, her picking on Ilhan Omar, and so much more. I want to know how you got put in Facebook jail this time, as if it's a surprise. I've told people how to not get put in Facebook jail. Well, does that shock you in any way? Investigate. What the fuck? But Creed brings up Facebook jail. Hey, at least your account is still active and you're just in Facebook jail and you're going to get to come out in 30 days. I'm completely disabled. Producer Dave got his back. Someone sent an angry email on his behalf, so perhaps I might be able to get my Facebook back, though it says it cannot be reversed. I think, honestly, looking back on it, I think they were upset that I was spamming groups with this show. But people really like the show, so what the fuck? You did indeed comment whatever you feel. But I'm glad you joined us, Jesse. We're going to start off tonight with a nut job fucking video. The MyPillow guy on Newsmax last night. This is going to be great.
What happened with your Twitter account and the company page?
Well, first mine was taken down because we have all the election fraud with these Dominion machines. We have 100% proof. And then when they took it down,
100% proof.
And then when I put it back up, my personal, it was a
Mike, thank you very much. Mike, you're talking about machines that we at Newsmax have not been able to verify any of those kinds of allegations. We just want to let people know that there's nothing substantive that we've seen. And let me read you something there. While there were some clear evidence of some cases of vote fraud and election irregularities, the election results in every state were certain.
My man, did you make some money off of the GME stock? AMC. Weren't you telling me about Doge? Isn't that what you were into? Or was that one of my... I have several friends that are into the Dogecoin. One GME stock. Hey, at least you're there with the cause. You're in solidarity. All right, this is about to go completely off the rails here.
Certified, and Newsmax accepts the results as legal and final the courts have also supported that view. So
Right,
we
so-
wanted
so
to talk to
you
you
just-
about
right, you
canceling
just suppress-
culture,
you
if you will.
suppress
We
the-
don't want to
you
relitigate
suppress-
the,
just like
the,
Twitter.
the
Wait,
allegations
wait,
that you're
wait.
making, Mike, because
On
we
Friday, I was
understand
showing
where
you-
you
See, they brought him on to talk about Twitter. That's the story they wanted to do. And he's like, I got the evidence, the Dominion voting machines, blah, blah, blah. Newsmax has been hit with lawsuits from Dominion. So they don't want to talk about it anymore. They're like, their lawyers have said, nope, 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 nope. They had to run the story saying that all the claims are false. So they're like, please, Mike, don't do this to us. We want to talk about Twitter censoring you. And then Newsmax is going to censor Mike Lindell. Mwah! Amazing irony.
are. So let me ask you this. Do you think that this should be temporary because it appears to be permanent? Could you make an argument that it is temporary?
What? What?
Could you make an argument that this could be a temporary banning rather than permanent?
No, I wanted to.
What does that even mean? Could Mike make an argument that it's a temporary banning? No, Twitter has said it's a permanent suspension. What the fuck are you talking about? But I think he's frustrated. He's just trying to get My Pillow motherfucker, or Mr. Pillow, as somebody called him in one of the comments. Trying to get Mr. Pillow off the subject of Dominion.
Be a permanent because you know what? They did this because I'm revealing all the evidence on Friday of all the election fraud with these machines. So I'm sorry if you think
Okay,
it's not.
Mike, can I ask our producers, can we get out of here, please?
Yeah, can we cut him off? We need to censor this motherfucker that we brought on to talk about censoring.
Those allegations that
Wait,
you're
Mike, hold on a second. Everybody hold on a second. Mike, hold on 1 second. Let's talk a little bit about just what is happening.
And what kind of operation are they running over there? I've worked for TV stations. There's producers running through what they expect out of an interview. You don't just let Mike Lindell come on there cold. Apparently they do.
Overall, in terms of censorship of.
Trying to cancel out.
Oh, he's back.
Myself in this country, it's cancel culture. They're trying to cancel
A poorly run
And
Twitch
you ask
panel.
The question: why did they cancel that? Because I have evidence of the machine.
Okay.
And I'm going to
Mike.
reveal it all on Friday.
Okay. All right. Well, Mike, I think a lot of folks understand that. A lot of folks feel that they are being censored as well, especially conservatives. They think something needs to be done about it. The New York Times saying now
Yes, we're going to
that
hear about all of that later on in the show.
a czar, a reality czar. So we're definitely headed down a dangerous road.
Merkin is going to testify in your defense.
We know that lots of folks
If
support
the
you all
SEC
across
brings
the country.
charges on you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We have to wrap it up, though, okay?
We gotta wrap it up. We gotta make sure you don't talk about machines anymore. Imply that it was Dominion who is certainly going to sue us. Holy fuck. So the repercussions of all the bullshit they've been peddling is really coming back to bite them in the ass. Pro-Trump election conspiracist Lynn Wood investigated over possible illegal voting. The guy who was out front, most prominent about the Stop the Steal, is being investigated for illegally voting. Who didn't see that coming? God damn.
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Yes, every single one of you. Right-wingers are fucking morons. The Georgia Secretary of State's office is investigating allegations that Lynn Wood, a high-profile pro-Trump attorney who launched fruitless challenges to election results and pushed baseless conspiracies of fraud, may have voted illegally in the November general election. Wood played a crucial role in former President Donald Trump's efforts to undermine the election. Republican Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger's office confirmed the investigation was open after a reporter with WSB-TV in Atlanta posted an email from Wood in which the attorney said he had been living in South Carolina for several months. Wood responded to the allegations Tuesday evening, writing via email, "I was domiciled in Atlanta in October of 2020 and was a resident of Georgia at that time. I've not been a resident of Georgia since 1955. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Or is he trying to make the legal argument that they can't charge him because he doesn't actually live in Georgia? I own properties in Georgia and South Carolina. I changed my residence to South Carolina on February 1st, 2020. What, 2 fucking days ago? What? Like, he's contradicting himself. Oh, I misread that. I have been a resident of Georgia since 1955. So he just moved, but what does this have to fucking do? After news of the investigation broke, Wood wrote that he only became a South Carolina resident as of February 1st and called Raffensperger a loser who is going to jail. So, maybe they're trying to say that he's actually a resident of South Carolina and he illegally voted in Georgia. Perhaps that is what is in question. Holy fuck. So we got a new ad out against Marco Rubio. Little Marco coming up on this impeachment trial. One of the things that the left, or the Democrats at least, are trying to do this time is tie the Republicans to Trump and really make the argument that they are corrupt. I would love to get corny on the show.
Marco Rubio.
Thank you, fuck you, bye.
Attack on the U.S. Capitol because he is a co-conspirator.
The FBI is investigating after a pro-Trump convoy surrounded a Biden campaign bus in Texas.
He applauded them.
I saw yesterday a video of these people in Texas. Did you see it? We love what they did.
He encouraged them.
Here's the thing they don't know. We do that in Florida every day.
And they heard the message.
Looked like he was doing a fucking Nazi salute.
Clear. He's responsible for the death of a Capitol police officer and the attempted
And that could have been deceptively edited.
Marco Rubio wants to let the domestic terrorists off the hook because he is one. Marco Rubio, cowardly, complicit, weak on terror.
God, that water thing was what, from like 2014? 2030. It was like a response to the State of the Union one year for Obama, where he did that water thing. He looked so uncomfortable. I can't remember the exact year that it happened. All right, so Matt Gaetz was on the Pandemic War Room, I think it's called, with Steve Bannon. Steve Bannon, who might be getting charged in New York. We might talk about that tomorrow because, like, I have a fucking jam-packed show here tonight. We'll let them have their ad so we can get to this Matt Gaetz video.
And there were some among us who checked to see whether we could be the ones to go defend him in the Senate, because we would be honored to. And the word we got back from House Ethics.
Now, I brought that up. I brought up the idea of Ted Cruz defending him in the impeachment trial, because Ted Cruz had offered to defend him in the Supreme Court. So I wondered if one of the sitting members would be allowed to defend Trump. And apparently, Gaetz had that idea, and Ask the House managers about it.
To go defend him in the Senate, because we would be honored to. And the word we got back from House Ethics.
Well, if they really wanted to get at Mike Pence, they should have butt-fucked him. You give him the old Garrison, you're saying. Or give him a cheeky baby. Fuck him in the ass and make him humble.
To go defend him in the Senate, because we would be honored to. And the word we got back from House Ethics is that we could not, as sitting members of the
You've
House,
already run that by
go and defend him in the Senate.
Okay, so you know this better, and your theory of this is exactly mine. Go to the low-hanging fruit. Would you then step down from Congress? Would you resign in order to defend the president on the way that you want to defend him?
I love my district. I love representing them, but I view this cancellation of the Trump presidency and the Trump movement as one of the major risks to my people, both in my district and all throughout this great country. Absolutely. If the president called me and wanted me to go defend him on the floor of the Senate, that would be the top priority in my life.
Donald, please call Congressman Matt Gaetz. Please give Gaetz a fuck. He lives in Florida. Go over to his place. You both live in Florida. Do it. Make it happen. I would love to see Matt Gaetz resign. I would love to see the shit show of Gaetz defending Trump on the floor of the Senate. But I mean, he has his legal team in place. They have their arguments. So it's kind of a little late to transition to Gaetz. Just the threat of AOC running against Schumer has made Schumer act like he's got some balls, so I greatly appreciate that. I don't know if it's time for AOC. I don't know what her plans are. I don't know if she's keeping options open for 2024. If there is an open primary and Kamala Harris is the vice president running in a primary. I don't know. But the threat of her possibly running against Chuck Schumer has made the Democrats come out swinging, and I greatly appreciate that. And the Biden administration, for all its faults, has done some really bold things in the first fucking week. But anyway, back to Gaetz and how much he wants to suck Trump's cock.
I would leave my house seat. I would leave my home. I would do anything I had to do to ensure that the greatest president in my lifetime, one of the greatest presidents our country has ever had, maybe the greatest president our country has ever had, got a full-throated defense that wasn't...
See? He's... I literally said he wanted to suck his cock. He described, to a T, sucking his cock, a full-throated defense. That's what Matt Gaetz wants to give Donald Trump.
Wasn't in fear of losing some moderate Republican senator, but that was worthy of the fight that he gave to the great people of this country for 4 years.
The people of, I think, your district would overwhelmingly support you if you said, I'm going to step down to go defend the president against the stealing of this election. I don't think there's any question.
Please do it. Please do it. I am begging you. But fucking Republicans are liars, so...
Susan, you know...
So this is from Sunday. And they're talking about Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, the daughter of Dick Cheney, congressperson from Wyoming, who is third in the House leadership for the Republicans. Voted for impeachment, voted against Donald Trump, is ready to move on. And they're wanting to censure her for it. On the flip side, the Democrats are demanding that they take action against Marjorie Taylor Greene. But the Republicans want to take action against fucking Liz Cheney.
We've got a situation right now where there is more visible outrage inside the GOP over Liz Cheney, a member of leadership, voting to impeach the president, over rather than some of these wild conspiracy theories being espoused by Marjorie Taylor Greene. How serious is this for the GOP, and what can they do about it? I mean, they take her off committees, expel.
And I just saw some right-wing assholes bitching about how they hated the fact that Chris Wallace gets to moderate debates. They don't think that Chris fucking Wallace is far enough right. He's like the only voice of reason on Fox News. He's still a fucking asshole conservative.
What are their options here?
Well, I think you're right. I think it tells you a lot about where the Republican Party is right now, that Liz Cheney is undoubtedly going to face a primary fight the next time she's up for election, that she has there's at least a possibility that she is going to lose her place in the House leadership because of this vote of conscience she took. While Republicans in private express concern about Marjorie Taylor Greene, not many of them are willing to speak up.
Because they've got no balls.
That is being seriously considered is taking her off the Education Committee, which is something I think that probably is not even a slap on the wrist. Doesn't do anything to stop her.
She should be expelled.
Views. You know, you think about, there are big wounds on Capitol Hill from the January 6th assault on Congress. That's what you heard from Nancy Pelosi when she was talking to reporters in the clip you played. This is the kind of language we have not heard from Capitol Hill since the Civil War, and it's not over yet.
Absolutely disgusting. I think that's who we're going to continue talking about here. No. We're still on Matt Gaetz, who went to Wyoming over the weekend. Went to Liz Cheney's backyard.
I love Wyoming!
What a piece of shit.
I think if Liz Cheney had a rally with all of her supporters, they could likely meet inside one of the elevators in the Capitol and still have plenty of room for social distancing.
But I mean, think about how crazy this is. This is a Florida congressperson going to Wyoming to, I guess it's in her district. I don't know if it's just like in the state capital or whatever. But going to Wyoming to be antagonistic. Man, I don't even know like fucking how many Congress people does Wyoming have. They might only have one congressperson. I don't know how many people live in Wyoming. It's not a lot. But he goes to Wyoming to taunt her. Another Republican and part of leadership. I have never seen this in my life. The entire time I have been alive, or at least since I've been following politics, been old enough to know what's going on, the Gingrich revolution of the 90s, the Republicans have been in like 100% lockstep. And that if there have been internal strife or conflict, they've kept it on the down low. So this is wild to me that this motherfucker travels to Wyoming. Wait, they have three what? Gonna let her bring her gun into jail after she gets locked up. She's not gonna get locked up. What, the QAnons? I think it's more. I think there are far more crazy people. Oh, 3 Congress people in Wyoming. I'm sorry. Thank you, Scrappy. I appreciate that. If I ask that question, I really do appreciate an answer. Thank you for responding. Because I'm really curious, and I know I'm sitting here behind a computer and everything, but it's kind of hard to go Googling shit when you're, doing a show. Don Jr. almost crying. Is that a new one? Because, I've got, we did an old video of Don Jr. almost crying. He fucking cried the morning that Trump left.
Andrew, his first day as a state representative was yesterday, and he invited me to be here with all of you today. I'd say that's a pretty good start for the young man.
Shoot me the link and we'll do it at the end.
I'll confess to you, this is my first time in Wyoming. I've been here for about an hour, and I feel like I already know the place a lot better than your misguided representative, Liz Cheney.
Listen to that shit. What a little dickhead.
My grandfather was a small town mayor in not too distant North Dakota. He passed before his time, but not before passing into legend. And he passed.
Now this is a super dick move, but don't think I'm not enjoying the fuck out of this.
Along a little wisdom to my dad. My old man calls it prairie populism. Do right by your people. Never sell out. Fight their dislikes. And never let the powerful run over the weak. Inspire people through courage and tell the truth.
He is the weak.
Is that the establishment
and he has stuck up Donald Trump's ass.
Parties have teamed up to screw our fellow Americans for generations.
Fucking goes to Wyoming. I mean, at least he's got a pair. There's a piece in Politico where a reporter describes it as an absolutely wild day. My wild day in Wyoming with Matt Gaetz. Okay, so this is by 4 reporters. When the opportunity arose to fly across the country to see whether a slick-suited 30-something congressman from Florida could stage a substantive rally in the name of Donald Trump in the district of a thrice-elected congresswoman with next-level name recognition, I knew I couldn't resist. And you know what? Matt Gaetz pulled it off. Yeah, holy shit, he pulled it off. On the steps of the Wyoming State House on Thursday, at least 800 people were chanting USA, USA, while the GOP upstart, joined by Donald Trump Jr. via phone, blasted the state's... This says the state's only congresswoman. Oh, maybe only congresswoman. They've got 2 congressmen. Only Congresswoman Liz Cheney. It was a pocket-sized crowd compared to an actual Trump rally, but the maskless baby boomers and red MAGA caps emitted the same feverish voltage. My takeaway, after an admittedly short stay and small sample size, if Cheney were up for re-election in 2021 instead of 2022, she'd be in serious trouble. It was hard to find anyone that would defend Cheney. It wasn't easy to get people to talk to me with my mask on. I had to shout many times that I didn't want to get COVID-19. Some people actually said they wouldn't speak to me unless I removed my mask. When they uttered the name Liz Cheney, an employee behind the cash register at Harbor Freight Tools hurled a threatening epithet. Then a beefy and tattooed supervisor came over mad as hell. His mask hung below his nose when he told me I don't think she spoke for Wyoming. Millionaire can't afford a megaphone. Price never votes in the primaries, but said he will in August 2022 to oust Cheney. So, definitely check that piece out about the wild day. As I said, that's something I've never seen before out of Republicans. But it speaks to the rift that's going on. And right now, it really looks like the Marjorie Taylor Greene wing is ascendant. Greene slams reported proposal to remove her from committee amid past controversial remarks. So there's going to be a vote tomorrow. I might carry that live. It was supposed to be today. They had a meeting between the leadership. They couldn't come to an agreement. So they're going to move forward with a vote tomorrow. Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene is railing against a reported proposal put forth by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to apparently remove her from one of her committees amid her past controversial comments. I think the other one, she's on the Education and the Budget Committee. I think the second one is the Budget Committee. She's definitely on the Education Committee. Yeah, the Budget Committee. There it is. In a thread of tweets on Wednesday, Green blasted McCarthy's reported offer to remove her from the Education and Labor Committee if Democrats are willing to back down from a vote to remove her from that committee as well as the Budget Committee. So, like, that was his offer. Like, we'll take her off the Budget Committee if you'll let her keep the other one. Democrats are like, nope. Both. Because they made the offer to let the Republicans handle it within their leadership, and the Republicans have balked, so it's going to the floor of the House. It's going to be interesting. She continued, they are only set out to destroy Republicans, your jobs, our economy, your children's education, and lives, steal our freedoms, and erase God's creation. And the bloodthirsty media are their henchmen who help them by relentlessly attacking anyone in their path. And here, this one really pisses me off because she is 100% aiming at Ilhan Omar. Filled with members who supported, cheered on, and funded criminal thugs who riot, burn, loot, attack police, murder, and occupy federal property. Members who sleep with our greatest enemy, marry their brother to get him in our country. That's a QAnon conspiracy theory that she tweeted out today about her fellow member of Congress. I'm so worried about Ilhan Omar. I hope she has protection 24/7 because these people are nuts. Oh, shit. And the bloodthirsty media are their henchmen who help them by relentlessly attacking anyone in their path.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
You fucks are kooks. So, GOP leader McCarthy backs Liz Cheney and Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's trying to walk the tightrope. Leader Kevin McCarthy declared on Wednesday that he supports keeping Liz Cheney in her leadership role and opposes stripping Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene of her committee seats at this time. McCarthy made his declarations at the outset of a much-anticipated meeting of House Republicans. Several GOP lawmakers are frustrated with McCarthy for failing to deal with Greene on his own and forcing them to cast a difficult vote on whether to strip Greene of her posts on the Education and Labor and Budget committees. Look for that tomorrow. We might go live with that one. So she was doing some work on the Budget Committee. Here she is on the House floor.
That has some of the most stringent lockdowns in the entire country. In fact, their lockdowns are so significant that more than 16,500
recognized for 2 minutes.
Here we go.
Thank you. I rise today in opposition to the blue state bailout budget. The Democrats know they don't have the votes to pass these radical policies in the Senate, so they're doubling down on reconciliation to destroy our economy with a $2 trillion taxpayer-funded spending spree. Democrats are using reconciliation for the exact opposite that the purpose it was given and created. With this budget, Democrats are bailing out failing Democrats.
For Republicans, reconciliation means using it to pass tax cuts for rich people. Oh, shit.
New York, expanding the welfare state, exploding the deficit, groveling to teachers' unions, and teachers refuse.
Exploding the deficit. Every single Democrat in my lifetime has cut the deficit. Bill Clinton balanced the budget. Every single Republican in my lifetime has exploded the deficit, including the previous administration, which left us with a record deficit. Shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear any of that talk from a dumbass Republican.
To go to work. and hiking taxes on business owners who don't comply with a higher minimum wage standard. This is just the beginning. They want to pay people more money to stay home rather than allowing them to go back to work and earn a paycheck.
Yeah, instead of going out and making the virus worse.
While teachers' unions ignore them but still collect taxpayer-funded paychecks. American politicians sent millions of children and young adults home, closed their schools, banned them from going to their jobs. They forced them to stay in isolation from their peers, canceled prom, canceled sports, canceled graduation.
And you've heard about it being bad for people that have no fucking clue what they're talking about.
Horrific. Suicide, depression has been on the rise. Do you think any family will feel like the
God.
$1,400 will make them feel good about their teen?
She's from a plus 40 district. That's how she was elected.
Democrats are trying to raise
Plus 40 Republican district.
that they won't even let people go to work in. Democrats.
That's how you get this in Congress.
Stayed open. Why are we supposed to bail them out? Why are my
I might be wrong. It might be like a plus 37, but it's something like that. It's an astronomical number.
Democrat governors have run their states like tyrants of third world countries, not like free Americans. They're oppressing the American people and reaping the benefits. I yield back to the gentleman from Missouri. Thank you.
And then she puts on like a smile. You can even tell. I yield back. God damn. And make no mistake about it, she is coming after Representative Ilhan Omar. And I am worried. I am worried about Omar. Thought I had a story about it. There we go. GOP lawmakers set to remove Omar from committees as Dems press to drop Taylor Greene from panel. House GOP lawmakers are seeking this week to oust Democratic Rep. Ilhan Omar of Minnesota from her committee assignments. The House is set to consider a measure this week that calls for Taylor Greene, a controversial first-term lawmaker known for her support of the QAnon conspiracy theory, from her assignment on the Education and Labor Committee. A proposed GOP-backed amendment to that measure calls for Omar, frequently identified as a member of the squad of progressive Democrats, to be removed from her committee assignments in light of conduct she has exhibited. Fox News congressional correspondent Chad Pergram reported. In the amendment, Republicans argue that Omar has made anti-Semitic comments that are grounds for dismissal. I'm tired of hearing that. If she's so goddamn anti-Semitic, why did she support the Jewish guy for president? Tell me that. Oh, fuck, man, don't. That's one of the reasons why AOC and Ariana Presley and Ilhan Omar are so worried about her and Boebert carrying on the floor of the House their nut jobs. I worry about Ilhan Omar. All right, we got some crazy video from a couple of days ago. Karen pulls gun on a black man following a fender bender. Hold on, let's see if I can open it in Reddit here. There we go. See how crazy this shit gets. Is she already got it in her hand? She got something in her hand. No, I might be wrong. No, she fucking does. I don't know, looks like she's a person of color. I'm sure black ladies can be Karens too. Black men can be Karen. We can all be a little Karen. Whoa! Whoa! Just holding him at gunpoint in the middle of the fucking day in the middle of the road. That looks like a Florida license plate, which would explain a lot. She's in her bathrobe. Huh. I mean, I hope it's Florida because, you know, she's out in a bathrobe. It was just a few days ago. It's been rather cold most of the country. She was holding it like she meant it there for a little bit, but now she's been relaxed. She's just wanting to yell. She's wanting to be heard. Well, I'm no psychologist, so don't listen to me on it. How in the fuck is this going on and there hasn't been a cop show up yet? Where are the fucking police? This is why defund the fucking police. They're useless 99% of the time. I mean, they've got traffic blocked, I'm assuming. There's a truck going by. Like, fuck this shit. I don't want any part of this. Hopefully after we watch the video here, hopefully the story lets us know a little bit more about what's going on, like who the dude was over on the other side. Why she's trying to hold him at gunpoint. Is that fine? No, that's not a cop. What the fuck? The truck's just like, let me the fuck through here. Now she's waving traffic on. What? And there's a school bus. She's like waving a gun around a school bus that might have children on it. What the what? What? How is there not a cop around? It kind of sounds like she says, I'm going to fire on you. Like, what?
Please get in your car. Can you please?
Cops are busy beating someone up.
I have a 5-month-old child at the house, and I do not want to get shot either.
And she's just pointing a gun towards them. What do they have to do with anything?
Get in the car. Go.
Oh, maybe he's with them. Like, what the hell? I'm really interested in the woman in the bathrobe. Like, what her story is. What's going through her mind right now? Oh, this is just Shaniqua. This is the way she acts. This is another Tuesday afternoon for her. Or finally the cops are going to show up and defuse the situation. I'm sorry, a cop never diffuses a situation. They're going to show up and shoot the black guy. This whole situation is blowing my mind.
Shannon, I'm sorry. Jackson, I'm sorry.
Is she putting the gun up now? Like, uh-oh, Popo's here. What'd you think was gonna happen? We're watching some woman that's held this guy in blue shorts and gunpoint. They were in a fender bender, and she's like been out like waving her gun around at everybody. And then there's a woman in a bathrobe for some reason. We're not exactly sure. We're trying to get a handle on the situation here. The cops finally show up. It's amazing. How long have we been watching that? 7 minutes. 7.5 minutes we had watched of her just waving a gun, traffic backed up, and no fucking cops on the scene. I'm honestly amazed that they didn't like show up and like put everybody on the ground. Apparently she shot at some point in time with her gun. Apparently, although the shot wasn't captured on camera, the lengthy standoff had commenters scratching their heads at the situation. Several users also point out that the cops appeared to automatically assume the black man was the one causing problems when they arrived. Which, of course, the cops arrived promptly 4 hours later. The woman was not arrested on the scene, and she didn't receive any sort of warning for allegedly shooting into traffic and brandishing a weapon. What the fuck? It did indeed happen in Florida. So it happened on, looks like the 2nd or the 1st. What the fuck? Also happening in Florida. This story is wild, so let's catch up on this one. Yesterday morning, I woke up to the story of the FBI agents getting shot. We've got more information now. Florida child porn suspect who killed 2 FBI agents was a 55-year-old father of 3. Seriously, she should be charged with reckless endangerment at the very least. But there was a child. There was a child in the car that she pointed the gun at multiple times. And it was caught on camera. What the fuck? And a school bus. Now, the school bus might have not had children on it. It could have just been like on its way to somewhere. But still, all that traffic. A day after 2 FBI agents were killed while conducting a child porn investigation in South Florida, new details about the shooter began to emerge, suggesting the man who reportedly took his own life after the bloody attack lived largely under the radar with no obvious criminal history. The FBI has not released his identity, but the South Florida Sun-Sentinel confirmed Wednesday that he was a 55-year-old father of 3 named David Lee Huber. The divorced gunman also ran a computer consulting business and owned a commercial pilot's license, according to the paper. Huber armed himself early Tuesday morning after watching a team of FBI agents surround his apartment through his doorbell camera. He then ambushed the agents and opened fire before they had a chance to announce a search warrant. The shooter struck 5 agents, killing a pair of highly regarded officers who had spent years fighting crimes against children. 2 of the wounded agents were hospitalized and in stable condition, and the 3rd did not require medical treatment. It's still unclear what exactly led to the gunfire in the upscale apartment complex, but it appears that the shooter fired dozens of rounds immediately after agents arrived at the scene. The FBI's Miami office said its agents were there to carry out a court-ordered search warrant involving violent crimes against children. The first report of shots fired came at 6:13 a.m. Dispatchers learned 5 people had been shot just 2 minutes later. The man then barricaded himself inside the apartment before he was found dead about 3 hours later, according to the paper. The shooting marked the deadliest day for the FBI since 9/11. First time since 1986 that multiple FBI agents were fatally shot in the line of duty. So, wow. All right. So, prosecutors have asked for a new arrest warrant for punk-ass Kyle Rittenhouse, who I had an interview with on this show shortly after he was released from jail. Do go back on my YouTube channel and check that out. What's up, 16 Tones? Good evening. Rittenhouse, the teen charged with homicide in Kenosha, Wisconsin, isn't complying with his bond, according to prosecutors, and they want him to pay $200,000 more. But of course, right-wing morons are just going to raise more money for him. The state of Wisconsin claims Rittenhouse is no longer living at the address listed with the court and has failed to update it within 48 hours of moving and violates the conditions of his bond. Prosecutors claim Rittenhouse has not lived where he claims he's living since at least mid-December, based on an investigation by Kenosha PD, and he has failed to provide the court with his current address for weeks. According to legal documents, that means the court can't effectively monitor his whereabouts. Further, the state claims Rittenhouse has no incentive to comply with his bond conditions because neither he nor his family had to come up with the $2 million bond. Rather, the money came from a dubious internet fundraising campaign. I think that makes perfect sense. I think $200,000 more isn't enough. So, to another scumbag who was locked up, Ghislaine Maxwell gripes over her prison conditions again, demanding she be granted access to her laptop because the computers inside the jail are very slow. Ghislaine Maxwell is demanding access to her laptop on holidays and weekends. The 59-year-old British socialite complained about the conditions inside the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, according to a new court filing. She requires computer access to review the millions of pages of documents ahead of her trial, according to her attorney. They've claimed that the prison computers are utterly inadequate and cannot read certain files and shut down every 2 hours. These people are way too fucking spoiled. The time, resources, and funds. I mean, she's not a fucking lawyer. She can afford a fucking lawyer. I'm sure she's got lawyers that are doing research. The time, resources, and funds expended on such problems is unnecessary, wasteful, and frustrating. Oh, I'm sorry. Your incarceration has been frustrating, Miss Socialite. The filing also claimed prison guards have psychologically and physically abused Maxwell and that her complaints have been met with reprisals. That sounds about right. Maxwell, 59, has been held at the MDC since July when she was arrested for allegedly procuring girls as young as 14. She has denied all charges. What's amazing to me, speaking about being spoiled, somehow she has already received the COVID-19 vaccine, along with a few dozen other women held in the women's section at the Metropolitan Detention Center. They were offered the shots in late January. Now, I mean, I understand wanting to vaccinate the prison population, and it's also one of those things. The federal government can organize that. The federal government can't organize getting shots into private citizens' arms in states and shit. Becomes a lot more difficult. the federal government can administer shots. They have a easy network to be able to go ahead and administer the shots. And getting everybody vaccinated is a good thing. So on the one hand, absolutely, go ahead and vaccinate the prison populations. If you have that ability, you have the means, you have the vaccinations. On the other hand, you kind of want, medical workers, frontline workers, fucking essential workers that are working at grocery stores and shit. But what that's that kind of shit requires some kind of government private partnership, like fucking Kroger workers. Partner up with Kroger, who has a pharmacy, who has the means to distribute that shit. And get the vaccination in the arms of workers, while also getting it in the arms of prisoners. I agree. I think it's odd that she was able to receive it. Some of the women declined to take the vaccine, but multimillionaire socialite Maxwell got her shot in the arm on January the 21st. The vaccine's distribution at the jail has been haphazard, with some high-risk prisoners still waiting for shots. That's wrong. So if you're going to vaccinate prisoners, at least get the high-risk ones first. Once again, that's playing psychologist, but that's a interesting way of looking at it, and I'm sure that does play into it. Like countless other inmates in the federal prison system, Maxwell has complained that the pandemic has made her incarceration even worse. Inmates have been unable to receive family visits, and meetings with lawyers are complicated by COVID protocols. Yeah. So this news about Maxwell came right around the time that we're seeing exclusive, never-before-seen photos of pedophile Jeffrey Epstein cuddling a sleeping young girl on his lap. So, ooh. This is at Disney World, apparently. Other images show how families were oblivious to the rich and powerful businessman who was dining in their midst. As costume character Tigger is seen in the background greeting guests. Oh my God, not you too, Piglet, you're not a friend. Oh, is Piglet on the flight logs? That's really going to break my heart. A source who was on the trip to Disney World tells Daily Mail of the horror of finding out the images of Epstein at their theme park around 2004. God damn. When you throw that much shit out there, a broken clock, right? You're bound to get something right. So this story is interesting to me. As I said, I laugh about it. It looks like the police fucked up, arrested a man driving his own stolen car. But I think this might be a sad story, and I apologize in advance if it turns out to be. A broken sundial is right twice a year. I like that.
Belmead officials tried to help a driver who they say unknowingly called the police on himself. News 2's Andy Cordan unravels
Wait, what?
this twisted tale tonight.
This all goes down Thursday afternoon. LPR here in Belmead spots this guy driving a stolen car.
This is the initial LPR hit of the white Kia on Belmead Boulevard. The vehicle comes back as stolen.
Well, this is our suspect.
This is footage of Belmead Police Sergeant John Carter getting behind the stolen car.
A couple other units are en route.
Now watch the dash cam as Sergeant Carter pulls over the driver, who's quickly identified as John Beasley.
Well, now I'm getting the keys to the car, so he can't drive off.
According to investigators, the 75-year-old is surprised that his vehicle is reported as stolen.
It never really clicked with him He didn't even know about the warrants that he had on him.
After more investigation,
well, the warrants.
Carter determines that Beasley's car wasn't stolen. It had been repossessed.
Long story short, we were able to verify that the car was in fact his and wasn't stolen. It had been repoed. He reported it as stolen, then figured out it would have been repoed, was able to get it back. But like a lot of people do, he didn't tell the police that it had not stolen and that he got it back so that it could be removed from the system. So it was still in the system.
Okay. So there for a second, I thought like he stole it from the repo place. So apparently, like his car was missing, he reported it stolen. Like, oh, find out it was repoed, went and paid the bill or some shit, and got it back.
And here's the kicker. When Sergeant Carter runs the 75-year-old man's criminal history, it turns out that Beasley has 2 arrest warrants out of Metro. And with that, Beasley goes to Metro jail.
He sort of got himself arrested.
Basically, he called the cops on himself, yeah.
News 2 has learned one of the charges, felony vandalism. He's accused of spray painting a vehicle in Belmead.
Felony vandalism? A fucking like 75-year-old man, felony vandalism. What? Well, that one took a turn. Do you guys know what Project Veritas is? They're the ones that came after Planned Parenthood. They took down Acorn. They went, the dude dressed up like a pimp and shit. It was his vehicle, yes, and then it got repoed. I want, like, did he spray paint his own vehicle? And he got charged with felony vandalism after it got repoed. Poor, like, I feel like there might be, like, he might be a victim of circumstances and we might need to stand in solidarity with him. I'm not exactly sure on this one. We might have to do more digging on that man. But Project Veritas, who's constantly putting out insanely edited videos, they have a new gotcha about Facebook. Inside information about the Facebook. Well, okay. I agree. This is an interesting question, so I gotta pause it before we move on to the next thing. It would seem like he didn't know that it had been repoed from the way the cop told it. So maybe like he woke up one morning and his car wasn't there, and that's why he reported it to the cops, because he genuinely thought it had been stolen. And then he just forgot to call him back and be like, "Oh, hey." So I don't know, but like maybe he had painted something on the car. It goes back to the dealership or something. They charge him with vandalism. That's possible. I don't know. It's a fucking poor dude though. I kind of feel sorry for him. But all right, leaked Project Veritas Facebook tapes. Let's see. Last time we played a Project Veritas video. Last time we played one of their videos, it turned out to be absolutely nothing. It was at CNN. And it was the most laughable shit ever. They were trying to twist into something it wasn't.
In his first day, President Biden already issued a number of executive orders on areas that we as a company really care quite deeply about.
But there has been quite a lot of disquiet expressed by many leaders around the world, from the president of Mexico to Alexander Navalny in Russia, and Chancellor Angela Merkel, and others saying, well, this shows that private companies have got too much power, and
well, now I can agree with that.
Decisions in a way that is framed by democratically agreed rules. We agree with that. Mark will be very clear about that ideally we wouldn't be taking these decisions on our own. We would be taking these decisions in line with and in conformity with democratically agreed rules and principles. And at the moment, those democratically agreed rules don't exist. We still have to take decisions in real time.
We have a system that is able to freeze commenting on threads in cases where our systems are detecting that there may be a thread that has hate speech.
So far, I'm not getting anything.
These are all things we've built over the past 3-4 years as part of our investments into the integrity space or efforts to protect elections.
I wonder whether or not we can use Oculus to help a white police officer understand what it feels like to be a young black man who's stopped and searched and arrested by the police. And I want every major decision to run through a civil rights lens.
I think that these were all important and positive steps, and I am looking forward to opportunities where Facebook is going to be able to work together with this new administration on some of their top priorities, starting with the COVID response.
What did they just expose? Somebody explain what they even think they're trying to expose Facebook for with that video. That was highly edited. There was no context to any of it. Deep fucking value. Is that from Wall Street Bets? We're not done with that story, and that story is far more significant than we know at the moment. Looking back a few years from now, that story is going to be much talked about.
Oh, I was going to say, do you think...
So, Steven Crowder had a big announcement. Let's take a listen.
You have to actually guess. Do you think that in like 20, 30 years from now, we'll be looking back at this time where, do you think we'll be saying, remember when we let boys beat up girls?
Why's he got like, is it a bulletproof vest or some shit? Why is he wearing that? I don't know what this symbol is. Is that some kind of like Assassin's Creed shit? What's he LARPing as? A comedian?
Girls and sports, and we said there were 52 genders. Boy, that was a weird phase. Or do you think we'll just actually continue on down that trail? And the idea, because it flies in the face of biology, and
it doesn't. You don't know what you're talking about. Right wingers are morons.
It's so crazy how that world ended 8 years ago.
I can't believe we're all still
look,
here.
A roach.
They're still around.
I'm eating Twinkies.
I am hopeful, but I think we're at a tipping point with that. It's going to go one way or the other, where it will either correct back or we're just going to continue on. And I think we're kind of at that point where if people can tie that kind of a social, kind of cultural fabric to Donald Trump and an outmoded conservatism, if they can do that effectively, hating against those, then yes, they can keep that and the trajectory will continue. But if we can have some people come in and espouse conservative values and not get tarred and feathered by
they
being
will be tarred and feathered.
Bigot, well, for being a bigot, right?
Yeah, but I don't think Donald Trump is a bigot.
You are a bigot.
He made it easy.
I don't know him. He's probably a
He needs to be
bigot.
someone who can explain his position.
Yes.
In other words,
also,
I think that almost all of Donald Trump's positions were reasonable. He just didn't explain them in a reasonable way.
Right, exactly. Being clear and sometimes going on a Twitter tirade, right? So if somebody can come in and not do that,
I'm thinking of running for office. I never thought about running for office. I have thought about it. As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
I wonder if Rush had the young pups coming up like Steven Crowder in mind when he said that.
Honestly,
what would you run for?
Maybe governor of Michigan.
Ooh,
I'm down. You should
or maybe mayor
politically.
or maybe mayor of some town in Michigan. Someplace I could actually make a difference. And here's what I would just listen, release the Vox attack video, be like the 8 Mile Rabbit, tell them something they don't know about me. But the only reason I would do it is because what I am most afraid of, and we can leave on this unless you have a chat that you think
the only reason you would do it is because you think that it would be a successful grift, motherfucker. You have seen the money that the Stop the Steal bullshit has raised, and you think you could run for office and get some positive publicity and be able to grift and sell more fucking mugs and get more views on YouTube. That's why you're saying it. I see through you, you transparent piece of shit.
We need to hit. What I am most afraid of going forward with someone like Donald Trump, and I know Donald Trump is an egotist, and I know that Donald Trump was in it for his own self-interest to some capacity, but he also stood alone.
To some capacity.
Right? Yeah. He came from the private sector. He was an outsider, and that was a huge component to the vitriolic hatred that he experienced. Yeah. And I am afraid.
Or the fact that he is a pedophilic con man, money laundering, philandering piece of shit that lies about everything. Maybe that's where all the vitriol came from. Steven Crowder, you dumb motherfucker.
Being, hung up there. Basically, not only Donald Trump, but they want to crucify anyone who supported Donald Trump, like the
because they're idiots.
Slave revolt in Spartacus along the road, just to let you know what happens if you support an outsider. I am so concerned now, especially in the era of social media, where everyone has stuff out there that
got to make themselves a victim.
Good people who actually want to change the country for good will be afraid to run because they know their lives will be destroyed, their reputation will be destroyed, their families will be dragged through the mud.
Like fucking Fox News does to Democrats. Like Ilhan Omar specifically. Hypocrites.
Because of the elite political system, the ruling class in Washington, D.C. And so the only people who will continue to live in that swamp.
I'm calling it now. He doesn't run for office, though, because his dad won't let him.
Being given a free path so long as they play along to get along. And so the only reason I would ever consider, and this is why I am actually considering running, is because I have nothing to lose. I've made a lot of mistakes. My flaws are open for everyone to see on full display. And you know what? I don't want people to feel like there is the government who rules over them. The government is meant to be ruled by people who represent.
It is just people.
By people like you. And I don't just mean...
I am telling you, as a news reporter who has covered the government for 20 fucking years, the government is just people like you. You can go meet them. Now, there is a whole sociopathy once you get to certain high fucking levels of government. But I assure you, definitely the people working down at the courthouse down the street from you are by far more regular people than fucking Steven Crowder is. Yep.
Ivy League educated Harvard grads and lawyers and think tank.
He's jealous of smart people.
Business owners. I mean, people out there who maybe you run a construction company. I want all of those folks out there to feel as though they can represent their constituents without.
I had a guy that runs a construction company, Grant's Construction. His name was Old Gord. You should definitely go check out his political views, and I can tell you with 100% certainty, you do not want the guy that runs the construction company to represent you in Congress, because that guy was a dumb fuck. Maybe we can get him on the show, but I don't know, he might be in fucking federal custody after he stormed the Capitol. But one of Steven's big platforms is censorship, and apparently Tucker Carlson went off about big tech and censorship.
We've got an admission for you. For more than 4 years, we've been telling you almost every week that the biggest threat to your basic freedoms in America is not actually the federal government. We thought that for a long time. The federal government is infuriating. It can be stupid and dangerous, obviously. But at least in the case of the government, you theoretically have some control over its behavior since it's a democracy. In this moment, right now, the bigger threat to your family turned out to be huge publicly held corporations, particularly the tech monopolies. Why? Because you have zero control over their behavior. They truly aren't interested in what you think, and yet they have enormous control over your life, and you should be worried about that. You probably already are worried about it. Here's the correction we want to make. We were wrong. Rest easy, America. We've got happy news for you tonight. Good tidings from our friends in the academic...
Good tidings of joy from Tucker Carlson.
Researchers from New York University in New York City released what they described
Tucky's tidings
of social media and censorship. And they didn't hide their conclusions in footnotes. They got right to it in the title. This new paper is called, quote, False Accusation, the Unfounded Claim that Social Media Companies Censor Conservatives. It's quite a literal study. So it turns out what we've been telling you...
Holy shit! You're never going to guess what story I have right after this one. Because I saw fucking Tucker Carlson rails about censorship or whatever the fucking headline was. And I also had this story about fucking conservatives aren't being censored. So let's hear your rationale. Since he's responding to it, and I got the stories out of order. Let's find out what he's responding to. A careful review of evidence shows that it's fake news that conservatives are being censored. It's not a fact. It's yet one more instance of disinformation meant to rile up a Republican base already suspicious of mainstream media. I could have told you that. And inclined to view public events as shaped by murky liberal conspiracies. The false claim of systematic conservative censorship is one element of a broader campaign on the right to persuade Trump loyalists that they're being silenced and excluded in all aspects of American life, making them out to be fucking martyrs. They're all up on their goddamn crosses. In a new report from NYU Stern Center for Business and Human Rights, there are no credible studies showing that Twitter or Facebook removes posts or accounts for ideological reasons. I can tell you they don't for ideological reasons. As someone who has spent more time banned in Facebook jail than on Facebook, I can tell you that it's automated algorithms that are just detecting fucking phrases. That's the reason why I say right-wingers are morons, because then their fucking algorithm doesn't censor me, and I don't get put in fucking Facebook jail. You're just saying the wrong things. You haven't picked up on it. Anything that can be perceived as targeted harassment, Facebook will remove. It's not that you're being censored for your fucking political beliefs, you dumb motherfuckers. But hey, what do I expect? Right-wingers are morons. Consider user engagement with Trump's Facebook page versus Joe Biden's page during the peak of last year. That's another thing. Fucking Dan Bongino is like the top fucking shared thing on Facebook. Like, of the top 10 posts, it's 6 of them are Dan Bongino. Daily. The total number of likes, comments, and shares was 307 million. Trump elicited 87% of that total. I think that's a pretty good indication. So, all right, let's go back to Tucker. See what his argument is.
For years isn't true. It's merely an unfounded claim. There's no truth to it. That's what they concluded. It's all there in the paper. We read it. On page 16, we learned that, yes, quote, conservatives frequently point to Twitter's practice of suspending or permanently banning account holders as evidence of bias against the right. And that is true.
I'm permanently banned.
Conservatives. Happily, the study concludes, however, facts don't support this claim. Conservatives do
get suspended for violating the terms of service
against such things as harassment, hateful conduct, or in Trump's case, glorifying violence. But this is the good news.
Apparently,
are excluded in this fact.
It's amazing you bring up Parler. Parler's CEO was fired apparently just a couple hours ago. I wish Parler would come back. I was doing good on Parler, but I was framing everything as if I was from the right. So that's probably why they didn't take me out. But there were several people that would then come and watch my videos and go, oh shit, this guy is a leftist.
Or banned for violating Twitter's rules against such things as harassment, hateful conduct, or in Trump's case, glorifying violence. But, this is the good news, liberals are excluded in this fashion as well.
Yes.
So it happens to everyone, and that should reassure you. Can we get some numbers on that, NYU? Well, no, actually we can't. In the words of the, quote, study, pinning down precise proportions on censorship is impossible because Twitter doesn't release sufficient data. Are you following the reasoning here? Their conclusion
They are.
Twitter is not biased, and we can be certain it's not biased because Twitter refuses to release data on who it bans. Case closed. But wait a second.
Tucker Carlson is on Twitter and I'm not.
I see on this show
Shove it.
all the time, talking about how Twitter shut them down for having unauthorized political opinions.
Oh, you've got anecdotes? I've got anecdotes too.
They're researchers, that's their job, and they came to this conclusion. All of those people who were banned, every one of them, victims of a mistake.
No, they did not say it was a mistake.
Makes mistakes.
No.
Familiar, it's because that is also Twitter's explanation for censorship almost every single time.
No, they called somebody something as innocuous as an idiot or a moron in my case. Or I like to call people dumb fucks. And then they banned them. That's what happened, Tucker. You dumb fuck.
Do supporters of the Joe Biden administration get banned this same way by mistake? We can't tell you that because Twitter won't give up the numbers. What we do know from the staff at NYU is that shutting down the New York Post's entire Twitter account right before the election, because the newspaper printed stories that were unflattering to the Biden.
Well, I mean, they are.
Oh, no. According
yes, Tucker, your audience is white supremacists.
Account for its political views during a presidential election is not censorship. It is instead, and we're quoting now, reasonable. Why is it reasonable? Well, because presumably, unlike, say, the Pentagon Papers or virtually every...
No, Tucker, it was an unverified story. It was all bullshit, and that's why you never followed up on it. Remember, we played the video of you. You found your fucking thumb drive that supposedly got lost for some conspiracy reason, and we never did hear anything else about it again because you just want to rile up your fucking viewers.
The Washington Post promoted its findings on Monday.
You're full of shit.
The headline from the New York Daily News, which we should tell you is a direct competitor to the New York Post, gives you a flavor of the reaction from the guardians of the First Amendment. Here was that headline in that paper, quote, "Big Tech doesn't censor conservatives. A careful review of evidence shows that's fake news."
It is fake news.
Of course it's fake news. And Twitter was eager to make sure that you saw how fake it was. We just got an email from
It's true, though.
Study attached.
Conservatives dominate.
I'm sure you saw a report out today from the NYU Stern Center for Business and Human Rights. It found there is no evidence to support claims of anti-conservative.
So Tucker's just fucking full of shit. Meanwhile, there is actual censorship in the world. Alexei Navalny was sentenced to prison solely because he went to Germany to recover from being poisoned. Russian opposition figure Alexei Navalny has been sentenced to about 2.5 years in prison, officially, for violating parole while he recovered in Germany from an assassination attempt that you know came from Putin. I'm assuming that the 2.5 years, I don't know exactly when the Russian elections are, but I know they're coming up sometime soon. I don't know if it's a presidential election. It might just be a parliamentary election, but there are elections coming up soon. So I'm assuming that the 2.5 years in prison is meant to silence him through that election cycle. A 3.5 year suspended sentence dating from 2014, stemming from charges that were widely seen as politically motivated, was turned into a prison term minus the 10 months Navalny spent under house arrest. Navalny addressed the court before his sentence was announced on Tuesday, describing the charges against him as completely fabricated and motivated by the fear of the man in the bunker, Vladimir Putin. Because apparently, you can't say Putin's name in court like that. Navalny made his name as a video blogger and anti-corruption activist, ultimately becoming perhaps the biggest thorn in Putin's side. Even after Navalny's arrest, his organization released a viral video 2 weeks ago accusing Putin of controlling $1 billion palace. So that's actual censorship, not the censorship that right-wingers like to complain about. But now, here's a new one for you. We've got some kind of reverse censorship going on this time. No, I'm on the wrong video here. This is the one we want. So, according to Adam Carolla,
Adam, can I ask you about...
like, SNL is refusing to make fun of Joe Biden. It's somehow hypocritical.
Saturday Night Live. I mean, maybe this isn't a really big surprise, but they did not have any jokes about the new Biden administration at all. Here's from DJ Bryce said, just like the mainstream media, Saturday Night Live will handle Biden with kid gloves for fear of getting canceled, literally. I mean, you could have written that skit. I mean, I could have probably written that skit.
Well, unfortunately, their hand is forced now. They have to show their hypocrisy. I mean, sort of like the fact checkers at CNN. All of a sudden, everything is factual. You do 7,000 episodes.
Well, it certainly is more factual than what it was just a couple of weeks ago.
Administration, I would do one even if I loved Biden, if I'm SNL, just so I don't appear hypocritical.
I'm amazed that they didn't, but honestly, like, the source material was just all, like, from the right. The Marjorie Taylor Greene shit.
And why was that?
I don't know. First things first. Honestly, I get what there is to hate about Donald Trump. I get it. There's plenty to hate about Donald Trump.
Do you?
What is there to love about Joe Biden?
There's not. He's not Trump.
Okay, you hated Trump. Fine. Why do you love Joe Biden? There's nothing to love about Joe Biden unless you're scared of being canceled. And the fact that this cancel culture has drifted over...
But just because they didn't do a sketch about him...
No comedians are saying anything about Biden. No comedians are saying anything about Governor Newsom or Governor Cuomo.
I don't think that's true at all.
It's a scary place to be.
Wow. It's a shame.
Interesting.
I swear to God, they just make shit up. And they make up these scenarios, and of course, they're the victims of their made-up fucking scenarios. Now, SNL had a musical guest this past fall who they had to postpone. His name is Morgan Wallen, and he has seen himself get into another controversy. Now, apparently, he is on the streets of Nashville in this video.
Take care of this pussy. Hey, actually, hey, y'all too? Hey, take care of this pussy ass motherfucker. Oh. Hey, Gracie, take care of this pussy ass.
Huh. This is the first time I'm seeing the video. Hold on, let's...
Y'all too? Hey, take care of this pussy ass motherfucker. Oh. Hey, Gracie, take care of this pussy ass.
I talk shit about Biden all the time. So far, he's actually been pretty decent. I haven't had complaints, but trust me, I will. I mean, he could have done better than Janet Yellen. Was he yelling at his neighbor? Like, he has been completely removed from country music stations. He returned home Sunday from a rowdy night with friends, and as he walked up his driveway, he hurled the N-word and other profanities. Wallen says he's remorseful. The country star and a group of his buddies had just spent the night out in Nashville. When they arrived at Morgan's home at around midnight, they were extremely loud, honking horns and talking loudly, loud enough to piss off neighbors. One of the neighbors began to record the antics. Video from the neighbor's doorbell cam shows the scene before Morgan hurled the profanities and racial epithet. And it's apparently why the neighbors looked outside. That's what I was thinking. Like, he's supposed to be this star, and oh, wait a minute. It's coronavirus restrictions. It's in Nashville. The bars probably close at midnight. Yeah, I was getting ready to jump on and pile on with you, but, like, yeah, it's probably coronavirus restrictions. You just couldn't stay out past midnight. Yeah, I was with you. Fucking rookie. Because that's my thing. This dude, like, he looks like he would play some badass outlaw country. He doesn't. He makes fucking shit-ass pop music for college girls. Like, I give everybody a chance. So he was a musical guest on SNL. So I kick back. I'm gonna all right, we'll listen to what you got, kid. Nah, I did not like that. I did not like that at all. So this is the commotion from the neighbor's doorbell cam. A little dickweed.
What is this, Jersey? What is this? What is this?
Well, and it also said Sunday night, didn't it? Yeah, Sunday night. Video from a neighbor's doorbell cam. Okay, we already watched it. The above video was recorded Monday morning again by the same neighbor, more clearly showing Morgan as he left his home with a friend. Okay, so just to prove that it was him, I guess. That's a cute little house. A lot of trash you got down there, buddy. I guess I shouldn't judge, though. So, yeah, completely taken off of country radio. Pretty much ended his career, or at least put it on pause. I don't know about ended career. Especially now, you can be pretty independent. I've actually got a friend who is a songwriter in Nashville. And I don't know if he knows Morgan. I asked him to come on tonight and talk about the situation. Unfortunately, he had a show. I'm going to try to have him on tomorrow night. But he did this parody of Morgan Wallen. I'm not really familiar with Morgan Wallen's music, so hopefully it still cracks us up. I'm sure it will. My buddy William King, he is amazing. Check him out.
You might know him from a brawl down at Kid Rock's, or from kissing college girls on a TikTok, or from a last call getting caught mugshot night on the town, walk of shame bound. But he's best known for his SNL second chance, now a racial slur. He said to his friends, maybe this might be the last time he gets to let us down. It's country radio's kicking him out.
That's awesome. Check out my buddy William King. He's got some badass song credits. He had one song that was featured on Shameless a season or two ago. Oh man, I went to school with him. I've had the pleasure of I debuted one of his songs on the radio when I was working on terrestrial radio. I debuted another one of his songs. He let me play it first on my college radio show. I've been trying to get him on the show for a while now. I can't wait to have him on, talk some politics. All right, let's get into the COVID tonight. We're going to end on COVID. But Justin, you usually end with a funny story or a lighthearted thing. Yeah, I have a COVID story that fits that mold. But first, we got some dark shit to go through. The UK COVID-19 variant has mutated again. So we're in a race against time right now of the several mutations. The additional mutation known as E484K is the same one found in the Brazilian and South African variants, but appears to have emerged separately in the UK. The Public Health of England noted the spike protein mutation found in the Brazilian and South African variants has been detected in at least 11 UK variant sequences. Preliminary information suggests more than one acquisition event. In other words, a concerning mutation appears to have emerged separately on an already concerning UK variant of the virus. Yeah, it's gonna be a problem. And the immediate problem that we're facing is that apparently the vaccines work well against the variants. So far, but this variant seems to resist the vaccine more. Had something like a, This is especially concerning because the E484K is thought to be the main mutation impacting vaccine efficacy. As an example, a recent trial of the Novavax COVID-19 vaccine found that it was 85.6% effective against the UK variant, but only around 60% effective against the fast-spreading South African variant. Also, these variants are making it more likely that you can be reinfected. One health expert says even if you've been infected with COVID-19, you may not be fully protected from the latest mutations of the virus. Those mutations, especially the one identified in South Africa, are concerning. If it becomes dominant, the experience of our colleagues in South Africa indicate that even if you've been infected with the original virus, then there's a very high rate of reinfection to the point where a previous infection does not seem to protect you against reinfection. This is why it was so important to not let it spread the way it has. All right, remember a couple weeks ago we played the video of the nurse who fainted after receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. Apparently, anti-vaxxers won't stop harassing her. They're convinced she is dead. For weeks now, commenters have flooded Tennessee nurse Tiffany Dover's Facebook with messages of tribute, praising her kindness and beauty, and offering their condolences for her loss. More than 22,000 comments on her last Facebook post from people around the world. But Tiffany Dover is not dead. According to all official sources, she is alive and well and working as a nurse in Chattanooga. Last week, she was pictured on the front of the local newspaper caring for a North Georgia police chief who had been in the hospital for nearly 100 days. Dover is not the victim of some medical mishap, as her mourners allege, but of a massive global conspiracy theory that has united anti-vaxxers and COVID skeptics in a dangerous attempt to prove themselves right. The outcry started in mid-December when 6 staff members at CHI Memorial Hospital were selected to receive their first doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine on live TV. Dover, a nurse manager at the hospital, was one of them. Speaking with reporters that day, she called the vaccine a symbol of hope and a light at the end of a very dark tunnel. A few minutes later, she stands to take questions from reporters, then stops and puts her hand to her head. She tells reporters she feels dizzy. Then she slowly sinks to her knees. 2 other employees rush to her side to catch her before she hits the ground. Minutes later, she's back on her feet, telling television cameras that she suffers from a medical condition that makes her prone to fainting. So it might have very well been just like the adrenaline from TV cameras in front of her that caused her to faint. I have a history of having an overactive vagal response. That sounds like my dirty ass mind thinks it's something. It's probably a mundane medical term. But she says she has an overactive vaginal response. And so with that, if I have pain from anything, hangnail, or if I stub my toe, I can just pass out. So yeah, apparently the vaccine is kind of painful. I've heard people say that it doesn't really hurt when you're getting it, but it does leave your arm feeling sore. The vaginal response involves your central nervous system. Okay, cool. Because, like, tickling a clit would be a vaginal response, not a vaginal response. Learn something new every day. I did not know that term. Vagal? Vagal. Cool. Thank you. Yeah, I had never heard that before. Vagal. Vasovagal. Cool, cool. We're learning. That's what I want this show to be, guys. Thank you. I want to learn shit. All right, let's bring it on home. Final story of the night. This one is interesting. Teenager emerging from 10-month coma has no knowledge of the pandemic. Joseph Flavel, 19, who is slowly recovering after being hit from a car last year, has caught COVID twice. The clit tickle might also make her faint. If it's just some kind of neurological response, but apparently it's pain. But also, like, yeah, like I wouldn't want to say it to like television cameras, like I pass out when I orgasm. A teenager who is emerging from a 10-month long God damn it. A teenager who is emerging from a 10-month long coma has no knowledge of the coronavirus pandemic, despite having caught the disease twice. Holy shit. Joseph Flavel, 19, was hit by a car while walking in Burton upon Trent, Staffordshire. God damn you British people. Has some fucked up names for places. He was hit on March 1st of last year, 3 weeks before Britain's first national lockdown began. Wow. He has spent months in a coma after he suffered a traumatic brain injury, but is slowly beginning to recover and has started responding. His aunt told The Guardian he won't know anything about the pandemic as he's been asleep for 10 months. His awareness is starting to improve now, but we just don't know what he knows. I just don't know where to start with it. A year ago, if someone had told me what was going to happen over the year, I don't think I would have believed it. I've got no idea how Joseph's going to come to understand what we've all been through. Holy shit, that's right. She said the family had tried to explain over video call that they're unable to be with him in person due to coronavirus restrictions, but haven't attempted to explain the scale of the pandemic. When he's awake in his room, he's not going to have any idea why he's there. We do talk about it on the phone, and we try to make him aware that we really want to be there holding his hands. But we are just unable to do it because of COVID. But we try to keep it as simple as possible. I bet you don't want to overload somebody like that. Also, Trump lost. That's going to be like... But he's British, so it's not going to have as much impact. But we try to keep it as simple as possible. We don't really have the time to go into the pandemic hugely. It just doesn't feel real, does it? The teenager who was treated at... I'm not even going to attempt it, has now been moved to Adderley Green Care Center in Stoke-on-Trent. God damn you British names. To continue his recovery. But then again, I'm from fucking Eastern Kentucky. We had some crazy holler names. He started moving his limbs when asked and is engaging with family and friends, though through blinking and smiling. He's able to follow commands such as touching his left and right ear, move both his legs, and answer yes and no through blinking. While his first smiles have brought family to tears. He has caught COVID twice during his recovery from the accident, but recovered on both occasions. So, apparently he was a sporty guy before the accident. Was due to receive his Gold Duke of Edinburgh Award. I don't know what the fuck that means. Wow. That's going to be a crazy story that's going to get a hell of a lot of clicks on YouTube once he fully recovers, though. He will definitely be a star. Alright, if you are watching on Twitch, let's find us a channel to go to. I'm going to send you guys over to Feminist Critique. Tell Gracie I said hey. I'll come and hang out with you guys for a little bit. What the fuck? What the fuck? I'm watching myself over here. I'm watching myself over here. I'm watching myself over here. We're in some kind of crazy matrix. We're in some kind of crazy matrix. Alright. Go ahead, light one up. Tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I know! That's what I was looking, because I almost didn't do a raid. I didn't know what was going on. I get some weird numbers sometime. Alright, go ahead, light one up. Tip one back. It's alright to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin Freakin. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol. Live.